Hey everyone, today we're going to be looking at writing structure, and I'm going to give you 7 tips to help on your writing sessions, and after it I'm going to give you the basic breakdown structure of how to create a 5-minute set. Let's get started. Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Talk Comedy. My name is Gary Michaels and this is a channel dedicated to comedians where I bring you 3 videos each and every week talking about comedy and performance tips that you can implement into your shows to get you advancing in your comedy career. Today I'm going to be talking about writing style and structure. This is a topic a lot of comedians have already expressed a large interest in, so I'm delighted to cram as much as I possibly can into this little YouTube video for all of you. First off, I'm going to give you 7 tips to improve your writing sessions. If you've never wrote before, you can implement all 7 and it will get you started on the right track. And if you've already got some writing styles down to suit yourself, you can pick and choose from the 7 what you want to implement into your style. I'm pretty confident you will be happy to implement at least 2 or 3 tips into your own writing session. However, after I give you the 7 tips, I'm going to give you a basic structure for a 5-minute set, along with a lot of tips and techniques you can use for your 5-minute set to get you more effective on stage when you perform next. And with that being said, you know I do not like to waste much time on this channel, so let's get right into the good stuff. Here is tip number 1. Schedule time dedicated to writing. Make a weekly plan of the specific days and the specific time you are going to spend writing stand-up comedy. Of course, this can be done at your convenience. If you are lucky and have all the time in the world, my advice would be to get it done early in the morning when you are most fresh and most focused. However, that is not an option for everyone, so make your own time that suits you best and stick to it. Remember not to make it too hard on yourself at the beginning by planning on overworking yourself. By setting writing sessions as long as 2 or 3 hours, especially at the beginning, is simply way too much, and sooner or later you will burn out and stop writing altogether. Instead, set yourself a much easier goal of 20-minute writing sessions, maybe 3 or 4 times a week. This way you'll complete them with ease, feel better about yourself, and look forward to the next writing sessions that's about to come. Over time, of course, you can make the writing sessions longer and more frequent. But if you start to feel like you're putting too much pressure on yourself, my advice would be to go straight back down to the 20-minute session and stick to it for a long period of time. It's much better to get small pieces done consistently over a long period of time than it is, obviously, to do too much at the beginning and burn yourself out and simply don't even like the idea of returning to the task. Of course, just like everything, the start is difficult and it doesn't feel natural to schedule in time when you're just going to be writing. However, over time, this does get easier, and of course, the more you do it, the more effective you will be at it. Tip number 2, write down lots of topics you are interested in and want to discuss. You don't always need to be writing punchlines or jokes. It can be very beneficial to you just to jot down, like a journal entry, things that you are interested in and you have a passion for. By understanding your topics to the best of your ability will help you out later on when you start to implement jokes into them. After you have a very good understanding of your opinion on your topics, then can you start to implement the jokes. My advice would be to write down as many stereotypes you can think of about the position you have. This would of course help you get one step ahead of any audience you are speaking in front of, because they are going to have general stereotypes about whatever it is you mention. But by writing down as many stereotypes as you can, along with punchlines to each of those stereotypes, the longer you spend at this, the faster you will be and the more your material can broaden, and you can start implementing those jokes and stereotypes into stories you later tell on stage. Okay, we'll take a few second breather right there because I understand in this video the information is coming at you fast. I'll give you a quick second to hit like if you are enjoying it, and we'll move right on to tip number 3. Let's do it. Warming up at the beginning of your session. When you begin a writing session, spend the first section just writing. No jokes, just writing what is on your mind. Let's say you've just started a 30-minute writing session. You want to spend about 3 to 5 minutes just writing. This can be on something as simple as what you did the day before, what you had for breakfast. It really doesn't matter. Just like a singer or musician warms up before they play, an athlete warms up before they go out to compete, you are going to warm up also. This helps get the creativity flowing and is certainly a very, very good technique if you suffer from writer's block. By just opening up your writing session with simply that, just writing, no pressure on making any punchlines or jokes for the first few moments of your writing session. You can't go wrong. Then after you've completed the warm-up section of your session, nailed it. After you have completed that, then you can start to focus on jokes, or better yet, you can start to make comedy material out of the material you wrote during your warm-up session. Number 4, I really enjoy this tip. Listen closely. There are no limits to how dark you can go in your writing session. Never limit yourself when you are in a creative process. This is a moment you have complete freedom to write whatever you want. Don't be afraid to go as dark as you possibly can. You're never going to say it on stage anyway, so no one will ever know. Some of your best bits might come from writing a joke that is simply way too offensive to ever say on stage, only for you to rework it and rewrite it and make it audience friendly. Never limit your own imagination while creating. Do not follow the guidelines as to what is acceptable on stage when you're simply not on stage. And of course, have fun with that one. Number 5 is another little tip to help get the creativity flowing at the beginning of your writing set. And it's this: always start by writing about yourself. For one, you know more about yourself than anyone else will know about you. And that way you can start writing exactly what it is you want to write and show yourself in whatever way you want to show yourself. And of course, in real time on stage, you will see majority of comedians opening with information about themselves. And that's because the earlier you can get people on board to who you are, the quicker they will like you, and the quicker you will get away with whatever type of material you want to tell. The more you write about your own personality, even if it's to make fun of your own personality or simply express how you stand on topics, well, the easier it will be and the quicker the audience will be open to you. The audience will simply not be on your side if they don't know who you are. So do spend time writing about who you are and also affecting it on stage also. Number 6, this is a very important one. When you write material, always use a pen and paper. It's better for your creativity if you use a pen and paper. You want to get as creative as you possibly can. This means not only are you going to be writing, but you're going to be circling around some topics you think are really good. You want to be crossing out some, X's over some, boxes at some, and bullet points somewhere. You want to go as crazy as you possibly can, and you want to be left with the scribblings of a maniac. We are, after all, stand-up comedians. A laptop or a computer simply doesn't give you this much creative space. Of course, after you've written out your set and it's all mental and you have something in there, then you can get the laptop out and transport it from the page to the screen, and that's where you can begin to fine-tune and see jokes you didn't see the first time around. So start at all times with a pen and paper and get as messy and creative as you possibly can. Another brief tip on this one is, of course, you should definitely go out and invest in a decent notepad for just joke writing. Put it in your backpack, have it on you at all times, because you never know when someone's going to be a little late and you can get the pad out. And I found in my experience, those impromptu writing sessions are when I've got some of my best jokes. Okay, number 7, before I start talking about structuring your set, this is the last point I'm going to give you before that. But if this video is for you, if you are getting loads of value, well then this channel is for you. I upload 3 videos a week. All you have to do to let me know you're appreciated is hit that subscribe button. Do it now if you're still here. I know this channel is for you. Hit the subscribe button so I know you're out there. It makes me feel great and I put way more passion and energy into each video. Here we go. Here's tip number 7. Always record your ideas on your phone. We've all had great ideas and jokes flood into our imagination when we're out and about, and we've thought to ourselves, that's really going to benefit my set, only to immediately forget what they were. The only way to avoid this is immediately take out your mobile phone, hit voice recorder and record the thought. If you don't want to do that, hit open any notepad or any message and simply write a message to yourself with the idea. This, of course, does mean stopping everything you are doing, taking the phone out and committing just a few seconds just to get the thought out. You do not need to write any extra patter or any connecting thing to any of your other jokes. It's just the idea you had or else the punchline or joke you had. That's it. No explanation, just write it down. I cannot stress enough, it is so important. You do not want to lose the valuable joke you just did, because usually those ones are the good ones. You want to get it recorded so you can return to it when you actually do your writing session at a later date. Personally, I use Facebook Messenger. I simply open up my own profile and I write the message directly to myself. Later on, when I open it up on the laptop, I scroll into my Facebook account and I can see an entire list of messages I wrote to myself since I started doing this exercise, and pick and choose from even old messages to bring back into new stories. This is a great way of doing it. But of course, do it whatever way you feel more comfortable with. And the best thing about this method is the more you do it, the faster you get in real-time situation and the funnier your jokes become. By stopping in your tracks over and over again, you are telling your brain that the information coming into it is important, and therefore the information gets better. Bloody magic. So that is it for the 7 tips, but I did promise you I will give you an idea for structuring your 5-minute set. So here we go, straight back into it all. At the beginning of your set, as we've already said, you want to keep it personal, you want to keep it light, and you want to keep it simple. You also want to try and include as many punchlines as you possibly can. Get them interested in who you are and get them laughing. The quicker you can do this, well, the easier the later on the set is going to be for you, especially if you plan on going to do longer stories, longer form jokes. Either way though, get them laughing quick, and especially get them understanding who it is you are. So let's say you have 3 or 4 compact bits of information about who it is you are. You want to choose one of these bits of information and write a longer section about it. So after you've done your introduction, you are going to do longer bits of information about one of those pieces of information you've given them. Now, a good goal would be to have longer bits of information written out on every single piece of information you give them. So if you've given them 4 different bits about your personality, you want to have 4 longer sets. So when later on, the more you do stage time and the more you get comfortable in front of an audience, you can start choosing right there in the moment what longer winded bit you want to give them, depending on how it went when you gave them a brief section of that material. Tongue twister. And I didn't want to do another take. Okay, I'll give you an example from what I do. At the beginning of my set, I let them know my name is Gary Michaels, and I have a few punchline jokes about my interest in heavy metal, my interest in watching mixed martial arts, and the fact that I'm an atheist. Now, each of those pieces of information, I have way longer bits on. Depending on what they appreciate in my introduction, let's say they respond very well to my joke about being an atheist, well, then I know I'm going to immediately go in to the rest of the set is going to be basically about the atheism. Especially if it's only a 5-minute set, you can afford to do a brief introduction and then hit them with the best bit of material you have afterwards, and then quickly wrap it up. Now, of course, as I say, longer bits of information, that sounds quite boring. You want to include as many jokes and punchlines as you possibly can into your longer form. And when you start to wrap up that long form, you want to do a few callbacks to the beginning of your set. Perhaps mention a few of the other topics you didn't go into detail and bring them in whatever funny way you want and squeeze them into the end of a set. 5-minute sets work best when they are not confusing. Don't give them too much information. Lighthearted material is best, and make it easy on yourself also to deliver. That's why personal material is always a great one, because it's easy for you to remember. You're not having to fake anything or lie about what your beliefs or who you are. Keep it personal, keep it about yourself, and keep it playful, and they will appreciate that a whole lot. Notice here how you can get an entire set out of just your introduction, basic facts about who you are, and then elaborating a little more on the rest of it. And if you implement as much of the 7 tips into your writing as you possibly can, it won't be long until you have a very informative, interesting, and funny introduction that you can elaborate in whatever way you want later on down the line. This episode had a lot of information in it. It was a lot of fun to talk at you for a while, and I hope you've got some of that in. Please do feel free to pause, hit rewind and watch the whole thing all over again just in case you missed out. I hope you have been taking notes on this one. This was a good one. Do hit the like button if you agree with me. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. If you already have, I appreciate it so much. And if you're still hungry for more, click any of the links on the screen at this very moment and you can dive right back in. But for me, right now, I'm tired. I'm going to have a cup of tea and I will catch you on the next one. Right on.